Chloe Jones. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm very good. How are you?
Excellent. So today's the EricSwanRacing.com podcast number 82. I got Chloe Jones of Chloe Jones Racing talking to me today for about an hour or so. And so I just want to get your story and tell people what you're about.
Yeah, so I started when I was 12 on the mini bikes. My dad used to mechanic for one of his friends, and they went to British mini bikes just to have a little play around. And I saw this little mini bike, and I loved it from there. And I've just grew up in the CC size, and now it's going very good.
And so what did you do last year? Where are you racing and how did that go?
So I was racing last year in the BSB Championship on a Yamaha R3 for OMG Racing. It was a bit of a up and down year, really. It started off well with the World Superbike round at Donny. I got 2 top tens, and then I was running P4 in the wet, but I crashed on like one of the last laps, just like a silly little mistake out of P4. So, and then throughout the year, I just kept getting taken out, had a start line incident, and pretty much destroyed two bikes. But my team of OMG carried on supporting me and helping me through the year. But at the end of the year, the second to last round, I got taken out again and pretty much destroyed the bike again. So the team pulled me out, and then I've just been doing a bit of practice on the R6, ready for the upcoming year.
It sounds like you're riding at a fairly high level, international level.
Yeah. I raced at BSB for the last couple of years now.
And British Superbike. Now you're going to like Oulton Park. Is it Cadwell, Donington? There's another couple in there that are missing my mind.
Yeah, we've got Brands Hatch, Silverstone, obviously. Thruxton, one of the fastest circuits in the UK.
What about Snetterton?
Yeah.
You guys go to Snetterton anymore?
Yeah, we still race at Snetterton, yeah.
I like that course. It's it's different courses that I'm used to coming from the States. To learn a whole new set of tracks.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a variety of tracks around here. They're very good. You obviously have your favourites and your least favourites, but yeah, we have a good bunch of circuits.
Seems like a lot of elevation. Can be narrow tracks, not as wide.
Yeah, so obviously we have Oulton and Cadwell. They're very tight circuits, which most people love. The race is more tight and everyone's close together. And there's not a lot of room for mistakes. But yeah, they're definitely one of the favourites around here.
For sure. And tell me about some of your competitors. Is there anybody you got your eye on? Like, oh, he might be a newcomer. He's a rookie. You got to look out for this person. Like maybe as a good thing, like he's an up and comer.
There's quite a few, but I couldn't just name one. Do you mean like in the mini bikes or like coming up?
Either way.
So there's a couple in the British mini bikes that I help out, it's where I started off. So I like to give a little back. So there's Luca Wilkinson, our Loco Racing. I'm always helping him out, and he's just went on to nearly win the championship. So it's nice to see that they're progressing up.
Yeah. And is that mini series? Is that like ovales, so 190s, 160s?
Yeah, so we have British mini bikes, so it's from pit bike 140s to CRFs to ovals to Bucci's. It's a lot of variety of bikes, but yeah, it's mainly ovals and Bucci's.
Okay. I'm not too familiar with the other bike. I know the ovales.
The Bucci is pretty much they're similar kind of, but the Bucci, I prefer the Bucci myself. I've just literally bought one a couple of months ago, and I train on that. But they're pretty similar. The Bucci's just a bit bigger, has more space. But everybody has a debate which one's better. But obviously, you have your own preferences.
Sure. And you're in the Junior Cup, is that right? You're on a 400.
I'm on an R3. Yeah, I was on an R3. But of course, I'm stepping up to the 600s for OMG Racing in this year.
Well, that's going to be a major jump. Do you think you're ready for the jump?
So it is a big jump going from the R3 to a 600, but I guess the more I go on the bike, the more practice I get, the better I'm going to get on it. And everybody has to start somewhere. So as long as I'm not last, I'll be happy.
Well, I'm sure you'll be ahead of last place guy and maybe girl. So it sounds like you're doing pretty well, and it's cool to have more females in the sport.
Yeah, so in the junior super sport class, which I raced in last year, there was I think at the last round there was about 5 or 6 of us. So it's nice to see that. But next year, I think I'm the only girl in the 600 class for next year. But either way, it's nice to see more girls racing in any series. But it's nice to see.
You know, I think it's a sport that females can be competitive against men because, yes, you need to be strong, but it's not about brute strength. You don't need to be a bodybuilder. You just need to be able to use your strength effectively. And it's a lot about a mental game. It's about, can you push the bike mentally to this limit? Because your finger can do it. Your wrist can always do it. It's just a little bit about, pushing the limit.
Yeah, definitely. You always get the people that don't like it, and the people say that it's only the men's sport. But more and more women come into the sport, you've got great people like Anna Carrasco and Maria Costello that are bringing more like women on as well, and it makes us look up to them and says if they can do it, then we can do it.
Yeah, I think it's great. You know, I never want to be beat by a man or a woman, but it's all right if it happens.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you get the people that don't like it, which I've had a few myself, but some of the girls have no issue with it. But it just depends where you're at and who you're racing against. But most of the people don't really mind it.
Yeah. And so you guys have a spec tire in BSB. What kind of tire are you on, and what tire brand are you guys on?
We're running Pirellis. We have everyone in BSB except from the Motor 3 class have to run the Pirellis. I'm not really too sure what compound they are, but they're just some sort of Pirellis.
Yeah. No, the States, we're all on Dunlops, but changes from series to series. I think maybe it's better to be on Pirellis just because that's what the World Championship uses. So why not use what they use, right?
Yeah, well, I've only ever used the Pirellis before, but obviously I know that the Junior Cup in America are on the Dunlops. But I'm not really too sure which ones are better. But people say they're a bit of both. But no, I've only run the Pirellis before, so.
Yeah, just a bit of riding style too.
Yeah, obviously the Motor 3s here on the Dunlop. Some people say that Dunlop wets are better, but as I say, I've never really run them, so I just stick with the Pirellis.
And you mentioned riding in the rain earlier. Tell me what that's like and how much confidence it gives you.
So I normally prefer riding in the rain. I always get my best results in the rain. Well, I say that and I crashed in the first round, but yeah, I always seem to enjoy the wet quite a lot. Obviously, I like the dry as well, but yeah, it's always a level playing field in the wet, I think. So it's nice to be up there more in the wet.
Yeah, and you can sometimes see maybe mid-pack people doing really well, shining, getting podiums, or maybe even winning, and that's cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely it levels the playing field out and everyone's a lot more closer. But no, it is always much more fun in the wet.
And you probably have a lot of rain over there being in the UK.
Yeah, we always get rain here, so it's always a bit of fun. But luckily this year we haven't actually had that many wet races. But no, it's definitely more fun in the wet.
And so are you looking to do a full season of the 600 class racing next year?
Yeah, so the Rich Energy OMG Racing have bought me a 600 for this year, and I'll be doing every round of the British Superbike Championships because 600s do every round. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting some experience on that and have like this year as my learning year and seeing what what results I can give up. But hopefully it'll be a good year.
And I watch Moto America and World Superbike and MotoGP pretty regularly, but I don't actually watch BSB because it's just kind of harder to find for being in the States. But I'm sure I could download it or get an app for it. But how do you normally watch that if it's not televised? Is there an online portal to see that?
Yeah, so there's an app called Eurosport Player, and it's normally on that all the time. Obviously, I try to watch Moto America as well, but because of like the time difference, it's always quite hard to watch it. But yeah, it's on Eurosport Player, and I think you can watch the races back afterwards as well.
Yeah, that's nice. I can't always watch them live because, like you're saying, it could be in another country, another time zone, but it's nice to be able to go back and see it.
Yeah, definitely. I always watch my races back and then always watch the front guys, see what they do. And you can always learn from a video.
Yeah, whether it's just line or breaking point or seeing that bump and how they take that bump or like, oh, you notice a mistake or you could have gone tighter there.
Yeah, definitely all the time. You can always, even some of the slower people, sometimes you can always find temps, and in the junior super sport class, the temps make up like, at least a couple of places. It's so tight.
Yeah, for sure. So doing a full season, are you also doing any other like support rounds for testing? Like do you go back to the national expert championship that's amateur and do rounds there as well?
Yeah, so obviously we're gonna have to try get as much practice on it as we can. Club meetings, we're just gonna try to do as many as we can. Track days, just because the 600 is a lot different to the 300, and you're not just gonna learn it in a couple of races. So you've got to get a lot of practice on it, and yeah, we'll just do a couple or as many as we can.
Now, there's big changes in the States with the 600 class. It's now going to be the 600 class that's modified. So it's going to be modified engines, maybe a super sport type of bike instead of a super stock bike now. Are you guys having the same changes in BSB?
No, the class that I'm running in is a stock class, so everything has to be stock. But you've also got the super sport classes as well, if you wanted to not be on a stock 6 bike. But that's like the class ahead, I would say. But no, my class is a stock 6.
Yeah. So I would actually like to have both. They used to have both, but now it's just one in the States. They're trying to keep it just like World Superbike. But it would be nice because for myself, I'm looking to get back into pro racing myself and get into the 600 class. And I would rather start on a stock 600 than a modified 600 that has, maybe 20 horsepower more.
Yeah, it's always harder, especially when you're coming from the smaller bikes. You obviously want to go on the faster bike, but if you do too big of a step, it's always a bit of, you don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah, just gotta be really careful with that throttle.
Yeah, definitely.
People always say, "Oh, you got to just whack open the throttle." Well, you can't whack it open on those kind of bikes. You'll be on your butt.
Yeah, exactly. You always find out the hard way.
So I'm sure in racing, in your experience, you've probably crashed some. Have you had any injuries so far?
My worst injury is probably when I broke my collarbone a couple of years ago.
Okay.
We were doing BSB and I went to a club meeting just for practice. And then I won the first 2 races on the Saturday. And then the warm up, somebody just like basically stopped in front of me as somebody else went past them. So they got a bit scared and they just slammed on the brakes and I had nowhere to go. So I just hit straight into the back of them and broke my collarbone.
Well, that's not terrible. I mean, you don't want to have one, but and
No,
actually,
it could be a lot worse.
yeah, it could be a lot worse. But collarbones are one of the most painful bones that I've broken because everything seems to hang off of that bone. Your arm just limps down, and it can be pretty painful.
It's always the most awkward bone because you can't do anything.
Unless you're Jorge Lorenzo, you practice on Friday and you crash in Assen. Saturday, you go off to Spain and get surgery, get it plated, and then you race on Sunday and get 5th place. I mean, that could happen too.
Yeah, well, I wasn't that good. I rode about 2.5 weeks later at Snetterton, and I was in a bit of pain then, so I don't know how he did it.
It's just a lot of probably painkillers, and that's a different level though. You're getting paid probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to finish this race.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna really cost you to fly out to Spain for that.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you guys follow World Superbike or MotoGP over there?
Yeah, I follow both myself. I always follow every single race that I can. But yeah, I try watch basically every series there is.
And it's not the Jonathan Ray show anymore. Top Rack has finally knocked him off the top crown.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting it. I'm a Jonathan Ray fan myself. But Top Rack definitely did deserve it. But it was nice to see Jonathan actually having a battle for once and having to push against someone. But I think it's going to be the same story again this year. So hopefully it's another good season.
Yeah, and it seems like they have a good mix of balance of performance so that all the manufacturers can compete at a pretty high level there. Seems like BMW is pretty good, but they seem to struggle like maybe mid to late race.
Yeah, as I say with the Kawasaki of Jonathan, it is a bit slower, but he makes more time up in the corners. But I say if Kawasaki can get a bit more straight line speed, then they'll definitely be up there more.
Yeah, probably a dream, but I would love to see Kawasaki back in MotoGP one day. But if they've won the last, 7 out of 8 world titles and World Superbike, do they need to spend the money to come over in MotoGP?
Yeah, I did see this on the Instagram the other day saying, do you think anyone will ride the Kawasaki? Because they say that Jonathan he is ready for it, but apparently he was too old for it. But I'd like to see him back in to do MotoGP on the Kawasaki and see how that goes.
That'd be pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, you have the legend of Valentino Rossi finally retiring, but he's not done. He's just doing a different sport. He's doing you know, grand touring cars, GT cars, GT3, I think, doing a whole series.
Yeah, he's racing at our in England on the Brands Hatch track. So I think that's definitely going to be the busiest Brands Hatch I've ever seen. But
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get there and see him as well.
So are you into sports cars too? Open wheel?
Not really. It's just because Valentino Rossi's there, so that's probably the only reason I go. But
He's the main attraction.
definitely, it's definitely going to be busy.
Yeah, I'm no Valentino Rossi, but I would like to be racing until I'm 70, 80 years old, you know, just to have that kind of longevity. But you gotta be smart about it. The biggest part is, can you afford it, your finances? But then if you get injured or you fall down too much, you know, that can be a problem too.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's had a very good season, a very good couple of years, really. And I think it was time for him to finally retire. But it's nice to see that he's still in with all the motorsport.
Yeah. I think after a certain age, you get a little afraid of hitting the ground. But I mean, he's probably crashed. I mean, if you had to put how many times do you think Rossi's crashed?
Definitely a lot.
Probably hundreds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even I think I saw the statistic. Mark Marquez, when he won one of his world championships, crashed about 30 times in a season.
I think he crashes about 30 times on the Friday, don't he?
Sometimes it looks like that, but they like to find the limit on practice and qualifying rather than the races, so that you kind of dial it back on the races so you get the full distance in, but you might not be going as fast.
Yeah, definitely. It's better to crash obviously on the Friday than it is on the race of Sunday. But yeah, he's definitely not human.
For sure. And what are your thoughts on track limits? You know, there's been a whole lot of issues. Now they're using sensors in some of the tracks, where if they get hit the green paint by a millimeter, they're disqualified or to move down one position.
I think it's a bit of both, really. Like, it is obviously fair. If you go on the green, then you go on the green. It's the same rule for everyone. But I don't think in BSB they're that strict at the minute. But I think it will get to that.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, you have to draw a line somewhere, but sometimes it seems like it's a little too much of a penalty for the crime.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. So where can people find you online? I know you're on Instagram. Are you on like Facebook and YouTube and all that?
Yeah, so I've got a YouTube account, which is Chloe Jones Racing. I've got Facebook, which is Chloe Jones Racing, and I've also got a Twitter account, which is Chloe Jones Brass 15.
Okay.
So I'm a bit of everything.
Very good. I've been trying to do these podcasts now for about a year and a half. Like I said, I think this is number 82. But I just recently podcasted with a couple of cool people. Johnny Rack Page, that was number 80. That was a pretty unique one. 81, I got Jacob Brown. He's a local guy from Michigan. He's an amateur racer. He just moved up from novice to expert. And he does that mini moto. So we're going indoors and riding 50cc motorcycles like XR50 Hondas. And this is on a polished concrete surface with slick tires, timing and scoring on a go-kart track. I'm going to be starting to do this myself. There's one coming up February 6th with Great Lakes Supermoto, and another one March 6th. And it's only $70 US. And come out and ride. It's a blast. I think there's usually like 60 people there for a track day. But they have novice, intermediate, advanced. So they're all grouped with, you know, racers or first-time people. So everybody has, you know, with their own speed group.
I'm very interested. I wish I could fly out and come and do it.
Yeah, I have never done it before, but I've seen it happen. You know, they're in their full race suits, full gear, and everything. But I did want to ask, are you ever interested in coming out and doing Daytona? Daytona in March. It's the 200 is now. I think it's March 10th to 12th. It looks like a blast.
Yeah, definitely. I always watch it, and obviously watching Brandon win it. Was it last year or the year before?
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, I've always wanted to come watch it, or at least do it. It does look very good, but maybe one day.
Yeah, for sure. And they pay out $175,000 to 40 finishing positions.
Really?
So if you're in the top 10, you would probably pay for your entire trip if you rented a bike and your tires and probably your flight.
You just got to win it.
If you win it, it's a Rolex and $25,000 purse.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That'll pay for a good portion of the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, maybe a few rounds.
So, and then you got a Rolex on top of that, which I don't know how much those are. At least 25,000, maybe. I don't know. Some of the models can go upwards of 100,000.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think you'd actually wear a Rolex if you won it, or would you sell it?
I wouldn't dare to wear it. I wouldn't want to scratch it.
Yeah, put it on the shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, is there anything on your mind you wanted to talk about today?
Um, no, not really. I just want to say thanks to all my sponsors and all my friends, all my supporters, all my mum, my dad, and everyone that's helped me out.
Yeah. So, who are some of your sponsors?
So this year it's been a bit of a miss with all my sponsors. I'm just currently getting them all finalised. But my main sponsors are OMG Racing, PCI Racing, Rich Energy, Catering Investments, Z Heads, GB Racing, LRJ Racing, Custom Colours, Nevis Marketing, Brands Hatch, Revelias, Joe Humphreys, E-Scooter, and yeah, I've just got loads of sponsors that are just helping me out really, and everyone, we couldn't do it without them, so every sponsor helps.
Yeah, and GB Racing, they make those engine covers. I think some more hard parts.
Yeah, obviously they've protected my bike quite a lot, so we're thankful for them.
Yeah, it's interesting that some motorcycles are manufactured in a way that they don't need engine protection or engine covers, but some bikes, as soon as they hit the ground, they break their casings.
Yeah, well, luckily the GBs aren't as bad as that. They've protected my bike quite a lot of times, so it's good to have them on board.
What kind of rear sets do you normally use?
I have no idea. Just whatever's on the bike, I'll just use.
Not too picky?
No.
As long as, some people like to have their specific pegs that have their grippiness, or they'll shave them down to a point so they can, they don't drag their foot pegs as much.
No, I'm definitely not that
bad. Have you ever done any endurance racing?
So I've done it on the mini bikes, but on a little 125, but I've never really done it on the R3. Did a 12-hour endurance on a kart track, and that was pouring down rain, freezing cold conditions, but it was very fun.
I like the kart tracks when it's raining or any track when it's raining or vehicle, because you always have, at some point, it's going to be a drying track. And in those mixed conditions, when it's like wet, but still it's not raining anymore, but there's still water on the track, is I think when a lot of people shine. It's when a lot of time could be made because the track is getting faster and faster, and you know how far to push.
Yeah, well, this race was definitely not like that. It was just pouring down rain for the whole 12 hours.
Yeah.
So we definitely got soaking, but it was really good fun.
For sure. And you're on full slick tires, and it's hard to control those. And there aren't rain tires for those karts.
No, it was on some, I don't even know what tires they were on, but it was definitely good fun.
Yeah, for sure. So going to be on the 600 this year and the super stock class. About how many competitors do you think would be in that one? Is it like 15 to 20 or so?
No, I think there's going to be about 30 something of us. I'm pretty sure the cutoff is 40, and last year there was about 38 of us, of them.
Oh wow, so it's a huge grid then.
Yeah, definitely. The junior super sport grid, which I was racing last year, it was, I think at one round there was like 42 people, like there's 42 of us on the grid.
And most of those are double header rounds. Are they like you have races on Saturday and Sunday? You qualify Friday?
No, so what we had in the junior super sport, we had one practice on Saturday, a qualifying and a race on Sunday. No, Friday we had a practice. Qualifying was on Saturday with one race, and then Sunday we would have another race.
Okay. So you get two shots at it. So if one doesn't go right, you still get another go.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes the GPs more important. You can't make any mistakes because you only got one try at it.
Yeah, definitely. That's what's going to happen with this year. We only have at most of the rounds we only have one race, but a couple of them we have two races. So you've always got to make that one race very good.
You got to make it count. Less chances for error. And every time you move up the ladder, going from the junior class to the super sport, super stock class, there's more viewers. It sounds like more people are watching, more people are paying attention. I might have lost you there. I'm not sure if you can still hear me.
No, yeah, I can still hear you now.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it just seems like when you go up the ranks, there's more people watching, more people paying attention.
Yeah, definitely. It obviously gets busier. You get more people watching you when you go up the classes. You're against much faster riders and much older riders as well. But it's definitely more noticeable now that I'm going to be in the 600 class for this year. So it's definitely going to be a good year.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how BSB is paid out or the rankings and all that, but in Moto America, I was looking into the purse payout. If you become a season entry participant, so you pay up front for everything for all the races, then you get a payout if you complete every session and every race for the weekends. I think you make like $22,000 or less. I mean, obviously you have to subtract what you paid. But is there anything like that for purse payout or participation for BSB?
I don't think it's to that extreme, but I think this year they've brought in the 600 class. I know that you get a bit of money if you win or you come top 10.
Yeah.
But I'm not really too sure what pricing that is. But
yeah, it's cool that things seem like they're getting bigger and money is coming back into the sport. Seems like it's such an interesting sport to me, more so than football or baseball or basketball, or cricket maybe even for me anyways. So I would just love the sport grow even bigger. And I think if you can just keep marketing it to the right people, a lot of people will hop on board.
Yeah, definitely. I like all sports really, but I definitely prefer motorbike racing.
Did you do sports growing up, or has this always been the thing?
So I didn't really do much outside of school, but at school I did every single after school club there was. I was always playing netball, football. I was playing every type of sports that I could possibly do.
Yeah. And how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
Just turned 18.
Just turned 18 and professional racer for a couple of years already. How long you been racing and riding now?
So I started when I was 12, but I properly started when I was 13. And that's when I won my championship the first year. And then my second year, I rode a new bike for a couple of rounds. I missed the first 3 rounds and I come third overall in that and then first in the mini motor class. And then I stepped up to the adult class and I can't remember off the top of my head where I finished in that. And then obviously I made the jump to BSB on the MRS racing Yamaha R3. And then from there, OMG have took me on to ride the R3 for a couple more years. And now they've brought me up to 600 class.
Do you think the R3 is competitive against the Kawasaki 400s?
So for the first couple of years when I was on it, it wasn't really equal. The 400 always had the more horsepower. It was also the best bike to be on, really. But they brought out the new World Super Sport 300 kit, and that definitely equaled it out a lot. Obviously, the more 400s that get it makes them better. But it's definitely helped the Yamahas out a lot.
These restrictor plates, I think, for the Kawasaki to slow them down or get less fuel or air intake.
Yeah, so they had the restrictors a couple of times, but the first time they had them, they didn't really make a difference on them. And then the second time, they made a little bit of a difference, but not really a lot. But then most of us got this Super Sport 300 kit, and it definitely helped us out a lot.
There's not a whole lot of people running the MV Augusta in America. Is that a big bike over there?
No, I don't really think so either. I think there's a couple on the grid, not in my class, but in the classes above. I think there's a couple of them, but there's not really a lot of them there.
Yeah. This year will be a lot different with like I said, the new 600 rules. I'm excited to see like a lot of Ducatis will be in the class, I bet, with the V2 and some built 600s and Kawasaki 636s. I had a 636 and I thought it was maybe a little advantage. You have a little bit more weight, but you have more horsepower.
Yeah, it's the same with this. Obviously, you're allowed the Yamaha R6s and then also the Kawasaki 636. But as you say, they're kind of equaled out because the Yamaha's lighter and you can carry more corner speed on it, but the Kawasaki is just a bit faster.
And then you got the 675 Triumph Daytona R. That's great in low end torque, but maybe doesn't have all the top end. But man, I rode that bike too. And in the middle of corners, you can just flick it left and right so much easier than the Kawasaki, the 4-cylinders.
Yeah, we don't really have many of them bikes around here either. It's mainly just dominated by the Kawasaki and the Yamahas.
Yeah, those seem like the big bikes to be on. We don't really have a lot of Kawasaki representation in the States. It seems to be the Yamaha show.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's equal in the 600 stock 6 class this year. I think it's a mix of both, really.
I always liked the Kawasaki. That's what I started on. My first street bike was a 2008 Ninja 250. It just seemed like it fit me. There's certain bikes you just sit on and you're like, this is my bike. It feels right.
Yeah, you definitely always get them bikes.
So I haven't had a street bike for a lot of years, for maybe a decade. So I'm looking at getting my first street bike again. I'm looking at the Suzuki DRZ 400 Supermoto. But then again, it's still carbureted. So it's like old technology, even though it's a 2022. So I'm thinking maybe if I go the Kawasaki KLX 300 Supermoto, that's DFI, direct fuel injection. And that would be, I think, a lot newer technology than the carbureted.
Yeah, it's only really on what you prefer, really, isn't it? You've got to ride them to know that's my bike or that isn't my bike.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at doing maybe some ice racing and like all around, like just street riding, grocery getter, but also you can do a supermoto track days with it. I'm looking to do some coaching this year with Motorcycle Safety Foundation. So teaching new riders and street riders how to get their license and just refresher courses. So something for that would be nice too. But the 400 is going to be about 10 miles an hour faster, but maybe less reliable. Because if you're doing like ice racing, you're going to have to change some settings on that. Might be a little less forgiving than the fuel injection.
Yeah, definitely. I've always want to give it a go, but yeah, as you say, it'll be better bike for it.
Yeah. So do you ride in the street anymore, or is it just strictly track?
I've only ever rode on the track, really. I've tried motocross and stuff like that, but I'm not really too keen on that. I'd rather just stick to the track.
And what are you doing for your training? Do you have like a strict plan with diet or fitness?
Yeah, so I try to get out much on the pit bike as much as I can. Obviously, that's the best sort of training for you. I go to the gym basically every day of the week, just to keep up, really. And I just prefer going out on the pit bikes. They're really good training for you, so I do a bit of everything.
On the pit bike, what kind of bike are you riding? Like a 100?
So I've got the MRS Pit Bike 140, which is the prototype bike. They've built it up basically from scratch, and then I've also got that Bucci 190.
Okay, and you're just riding those like in parking lots or kart tracks?
Yeah, I just ride them around the kart tracks. There's a couple near me. We just do that for a bit of fun on the weekends.
And so that's basically supermoto or motard, just
Yeah,
only. So
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
only, no dirt.
No, definitely no doubt. I did it once and I sent myself to the moon. So
Yeah, I've been in the supermoto and motard pavement only also. It's a lot of fun, and I think the training value and the smiles to dollar ratio is off the charts. I mean, it's so cheap to do. I think this is a place to get people into the sport because you don't have to spend $10,000 on a motorcycle. You can get like this brand new Kawasaki 300 supermoto I was talking about, brand new for 7,200 US. And I'm sure
yeah,
a couple years old with a few thousand miles, you can get one for 4 or 5 thousand or less, depending on how old you want to go. But then a track day is 70 bucks. It's very cheap.
yeah, definitely. That's why we always use it for training and stuff like that because the bikes are so cheap to fix. They're so cheap to ride, and the tracks are like £30 around here. So
Yeah.
it's very good.
And if you crash one of them, nothing really happens. They seem to be indestructible.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but definitely a lot cheaper to fix.
Yeah. Crashed my buddy's bike 3 times in a day, and I felt so bad. He's like, "Where's the scratches? I don't even see what you did." But yeah, you don't want to do that on purpose. But it happens when you're pushing and when it's a new bike you're not familiar with. Um, and two of the crashes I had were in the dirt, so that's my excuse.
Yeah.
But but yeah, just looking to help promote people. It sounds like you got a good thing going with your racing program. I've been new thing I'm doing is I'm a track marshal now, so I'm going around to the different events as a race official. I'm working, um, picking up motorcycles, waving the flags if needed, whatever they need to be done. Sometimes inflating and deploying new air fences or extracting old air fences that are ripped. Um, it's a cool gig.
Yeah, it's always nice. Obviously, we can't go racing without the marshals, so it's always nice when they volunteer around here to do it for us. Obviously, we can't race without them, so we thankful for everyone that does that sort of stuff for us.
For sure. And if anybody's interested in being at the races but isn't riding, um, you can volunteer. A lot of times you actually get paid to do it. So it's like a paid vacation. And I'll be working the Daytona event in March. I'll be going down to Homestead, Miami, in Florida in a couple of weeks in February. I'll be doing the Circuit of the Americas in Texas for MotoGP this year. Be working Formula One, Miami, and Florida in May. So I'll be jumping all around and doing it at least once a month. I think every month, with the exception of when I'm doing the Motorcycle Safety Foundation classes. I think there's a month and a half where I'll be just doing that every weekend. But I found that they're desperate for coaches. So if people want opportunities in the motorsports industry, I just gave you two that people they always need people and they pay. So being a coach for training riders and being a track official is very little training. You just have to be able to stand on your feet in all weather and not complain.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's always you can't obviously we can't go racing without them. I'm pretty sure at BSB they volunteered to do it, so and they get the odd thing off Stuart Higgs. But yeah, it's nice to see that the people that do it just because they purely love the sport.
Yeah, like I won't be getting paid for MotoGP or Formula One. Those are purely volunteer only. But just to have those on your resume, I'm like, I'll do that. Sure, no problem.
Yeah, just being there really is always good, especially when you're marshalling. You're going to be right near them.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, you don't get to meet a rider at the side of the racetrack, but you
Yeah, hopefully you don't, but it's always nice if you do get to.
yeah. So it's just something I like learning more about the sport and seeing a different aspect of it. It's something I think all racers should try at least once because you get to hear the communication from all the corners with your headset and your radio. You can talk to race control at any time if it's important. And so you hear the facts of the track. You hear things that you probably would never hear as a rider. Like you hear who's cutting the blend line or who made an unsafe pass or who's got the wrong number on the left side of their bike that doesn't match the front of their bike. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, it's always nice.
somebody passed under a yellow. You hear all the numbers and or who crashes in each corner. Like, oh, he crashed again. Like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, it's definitely nice.
Oh, you just hear a whole new side of things. I think it's very eye-opening to racers.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to see everybody, all the marshals, they walk around at night time talking to you, and they're all happy just to be there, really. And it's just nice to see it.
For sure. Uh, so, what else is on your mind today? What's going on in your world?
Nothing really. Just been at work with my dad. Been at the gym, and that's pretty much it.
So, are you dating? You have a boyfriend?
No, no. I'd rather concentrate on racing.
Focus everything on racing. And are you in school now?
No, I used to go to the college, but I got bored of it really. So now I just work. I'd rather be outside doing some sort of activity.
So you're doing racing pretty much full time then. You don't have much time to have a full time job.
Yeah, I do have a full-time job as well. Well, right now we really don't race because the weather's so bad outside. We don't really race as much, but yeah, I get all my money in now, get some work done, and get ready for the year.
And what do you do for work?
I work for my dad really, and I just do a bit of grounds maintenance and stuff like that. So it's quite hands-on, but
Okay,
it keeps you fit while you're working and earning some money as well.
I bet. I hear that can be really lucrative and pay well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Very good. So the race season's coming up. Um, I'm excited for it. Formula One and MotoGP. I try to follow up with everything, but I got Supercross going on right now.
Yeah, I watch the Supercross as well, or try watch as much as I can, but it's on at like 3 a.m. here, so I try watch it without staying up too late. But yeah, it's always nice to watch that, like right now in the winter.
Yeah,
But Formula One, F1, World Superbike, so I always watch them too.
I'm a little bit behind. I haven't watched the Supercross one yet, but I'm pretty sure they come to Detroit every year, so I'd like to go maybe do that one. Go watch it. But it's just a matter of time before that happens.
Yeah, I definitely want to come over at some point and watch Supercross. It's definitely one of my bucket lists because I've always watched it for the last couple of years. I've always watched it.
Do
Yeah, I really enjoy watching it.
you guys have like a big national series for Supercross or motocross over there?
I'm not really into it so much over here, but we don't have any like indoor motocross really. It's not as big really over here as it is in America.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely enjoy watching it.
So are there any podcasts that you listen to normally?
So there's a couple over here really. We've obviously got one of my sponsors that works for the team. It's called no, there's a couple really. There's Chasing the Racing. There's one of my other sponsors that has helped me out really for the mental side of the racing. He's got his own. There's quite a lot around here. There's new ones starting up, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah, I just like the format. It's a way to promote and just talk freely with no script because I got no bullet points here. Just go off the top of my head.
Sorry, you lagged out a bit there. I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I like listening to podcasts. It's just a free form of communication. Just got no agenda, just talking off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's nice to listen to them as well. Like when you're, I say, on the way to racing or you're at the gym, it's nice to listen to people's views and their understanding about racing, or in general, just nice to listen to people talk about random stuff.
Yeah, I hope people don't think this is boring, but I hope you're still.
Hopefully.
I find that friends and family of you will definitely watch, but if they don't know anything about you, it's harder to get them interested unless they love racing. Like if they're a race fan, they may watch anyway, right? But
Yeah.
just trying to find that unique set of people who's into what I want to talk about.
Yeah, that's it. Like everyone from my race series that I race with or talk to there, all of us just think the same, do the same, watch the same things. So we're all interested in it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get monetized on YouTube, and I think I'm getting pretty close here. You have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours within 12 months. So that sounds like a lot. That's a lot of hours to be watched.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Um, I mean, like, how many days is that of content actually watched? If it's 24 hours a day and it's I can't do that math right now. But
Yeah, neither. I'm not good at that sort of
it's
stuff.
like days and days of people watching your stuff a year. So I would be flattered if that happened, but I don't know how much you actually make if you get monetized. If it's like pennies or like I might get $100 once a year.
I think YouTubers get quite a lot, don't they? It depends how good your videos do, but definitely people make livings on it.
I think if you have in the millions of views, for sure you can make a living at it. But if it's just a couple hundred, it might be a struggle. But I think you know, I had a couple people reach out to me. You don't know if it's spam or not at first because they're like, we want to do a collaboration. I'm like, okay, well, I've heard this
Yeah,
before, right?
yeah, definitely.
So I don't know. I think it might be like I've done 82 episodes now. Maybe it's time to reach out and maybe look for sponsors, or maybe if I could do ads, like read ads for other companies.
Yeah.
Um, but it depends on how many views you have to make it work for them.
Yeah, definitely. It's always hard, but if you don't ask, then you don't get. That's what people say.
For sure, you just
Um,
act as if it's going to happen.
yeah, exactly.
Um, so you're living at home with your parents, or you're on your own now?
No, yeah, I still live with my mum and dad, just being here.
And that's a good way to save money.
Yeah, definitely.
Were your parents into racing? How did you get into racing? Did they show you the way, or just something that you got into?
So my mum and dad weren't, they'd never come up really from racing, but as I say, my dad just used to go mechanic for his friend. And then my dad just raced a couple of years, had a bit of fun on it, and then just left it to me really.
Okay. So he kind of showed you a little bit about it, how to work on them. Is he one of your? I know you're on a team now, but he was probably a mechanic of yours for a while.
Yeah, so like on the mini bike, he always did my stuff for me. And then as I've got up through the ranks, he just does less and less and less.
Is it hard for him to step back and have someone else take over? Or is it probably nice now to not have to do it?
Yeah, I think he enjoys not doing as much anymore. It's nice to have somebody else do it, so he's not stressing that he's done something wrong or he hasn't done something.
Yeah. And you ever ride with him anymore?
No, he doesn't race anymore. He just doesn't want me to beat him now.
Yeah, I gotcha. Um, everybody, everybody has phases that they go through. Sounds like he's trying to help you out now.
Yeah, he'll just leave it to me now.
Yeah. So I think you sent me some pictures of your riding. It looked right. You sent me some of those photos.
Yeah, I've sent. Oh, you're quite laggy. Couldn't really understand.
Yeah, I think you sent me some of those photos of you riding to use for the podcast. They look pretty good.
Yeah, so obviously we have quite a lot of photos throughout the years, but I just sent a couple just to see. You just pick your own because I couldn't decide.
Yeah, so I just use those as cover photos when I post the podcast. So um, to help use the photos you want to use instead of me grabbing them from your social media accounts.
Yeah, I sent too many, but I couldn't decide. Had too many good photos.
That was plenty. I've had people send over 70 pictures before. I'm like, that's plenty. Please, please stop. So yeah, yours was just the right amount because it really does matter sometimes if like I have to crop them in a 9:16 frame for Instagram TV. So if they're not in the
Yeah,
right format, it'll like cut it off. And I've learned to get a little bit more creative with how I post things to make it better. But you never know. It's good to have variety.
yeah, definitely.
Um, So yeah, I mean, we can talk about anything you want. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have two. One of them's older and one of them's younger. One's still at school and one's at uni at the minute.
So one's older, one's younger.
Yeah,
And what do they think about your riding? They think you're crazy?
yeah, pretty much. They both come sometimes, but they don't obviously like it as much as I do. But they
Yeah.
definitely support me with it.
Do they ride at all?
No, one of my sisters had a go before, but she went up this hill and then turned and she crashed and then she never did it again.
Yeah. See, some people they get this fear and it's too much for them. But we found that we can overcome the fear, and I mean, we still get afraid sometimes, but you can't let it affect your riding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if you do get afraid, chances are you did something wrong, and then you can do it better next time. That's what I think about.
Yeah, definitely. You're always going to get the scares, but that's what racing is. You're never going to get it easy. So,
Yeah. Um, and is there a point in your riding that you're working on now? Like, what is something that you're trying to improve on?
really, it's just not to crash as much, not to get taken out as much. But no, it's a new year, new things, new challenge, really. Just forget everything that's happened the last couple of years and just start a fresh year.
So not crashing as much. That's always a goal. Um, is it um, is it typically front end crashes? You're pushing too hard on the brakes, or is it like you're sliding down on the rear too far, leaned over, and hopefully not high siding?
Well, the last couple of times it's been really from getting taken out. Obviously the first one was my fault, but I just tucked the front and I saved it, and then I just lost the rear because I went completely the wrong line in the wet. And then the last three were just from getting taken out.
So getting taken out is frustrating. You know, I've been playing this later. I have a sim in my upstairs living room with a wheel and pedals that I've been practicing on. And this game, Assetto Corsa, has a rating system where if you're involved in an incident, whether you were at fault or not, you get marked down. So it's kind of like, well, maybe you didn't cause it, but maybe you had a slight, um, you had a hand in it, right? You were involved in a way. I'm not saying you were at fault, but there's a way that it could have been avoided. So, you know, when you're in the 300 in the junior class, it gets so hectic. It gets so crazy almost, right? People are fighting for positions, tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Um, it gets very close. I'm not sure if there's a solution for it, but I've noticed I'd rather go wide and miss the corner than hit that guy. I want to get marked down now.
Yeah, that's the thing of it because everyone's so close. Like the times are so close. Everyone's just so close together, and it's just if you make one little mistake or they make one little mistake, you're down. Like both of you or the whole pack will be down.
Yeah, or you lose 6 positions in a corner because you lost a half a second.
Yeah,
Those are frustrating, but it just forces you to be perfect. If you're not perfect, you're losing places.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Um, and you probably saw some nasty crashes last year in Moto 3. Um, you know, does it make you feel a little bit safer moving up to a faster machine where they're spaced out a little bit more and it's not so close together?
Yeah, well, really with racing, like your racing mindset, you don't really think of it. You just think, oh, you're racing, and if you're close, you're close. If you're not, you're not. But definitely in the stock six, they're close as well, but obviously not as close as the 300. So it'd be nice to have a bit more room, but it's always nice to have a battle with somebody and be close with them.
I mean, it's like the conundrum. You want a pack to be close together, but in the 300s, it's almost like it's a dangerously close together pack,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
you don't want to be really.
But even I would almost argue that the 300 or the junior cup classes are more dangerous than the 600 classes that are going faster.
Yeah, definitely. That's what everybody seems to be saying recently.
And I'm not sure how to make it safer because we all want them to be as close as possible,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
like a double-edged sword. Um, but I just love the sport, just trying to help promote. So we're about almost at an hour. I got a couple of more minutes left to get there. Is there anything you do in your spare time you wanted to share?
Well, I've just started a new training program with one of my new coaches. Just really getting me prepared for the season this year. Obviously, stepping up to the 600, it's a lot more physical, so you got to be a lot more fit. It's really just getting ready for the season now, and just all the prep that we do is going to be put into play in a couple of months.
And what kind of diet do you have coming into the season? Are you super strict? Like, I know you're probably not drinking beer and eating pizza all the time.
No, I'm not into that stuff anyway, really. So it's just a case of watching what you're doing, really, and just being more strict on yourself.
Is it just broccoli and chicken and rice?
Yeah, pretty much.
Keep it strict. You guys have completely different fast food options, and I'm sure you have McDonald's and Burger King, but what's the go-to fast food out there?
Um, Probably is McDonald's, yeah.
Probably one of those.
Just the standard one.
All right. Just heard Subway's bread is not considered bread anymore by the country of Ireland because the sugar content is so high. It's legally not considered bread anymore.
Yeah, it's quite bad for you.
So even if you think you're going to a healthier option place, you really don't know what the nutritional content of that food is.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you have to be quite strict with what you do, and less of that sort of stuff.
Are you eating out a lot of times or trying to cook in? Do you like to cook a lot of food?
Yeah, well, not me, but my mum and dad do, yeah.
Yeah. See, I never really learned growing up how to cook much, and then I moved out, and I was like, oh no, what am I gonna eat?
Now what I do.
How am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like the odd couple of times I do, but not really. It's mainly my mum and dad that do.
yeah. I like eating tomatoes, just kind of like apples now. Just grab them raw. I mean, you don't really need to cut them up. You can just grab them and eat them.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but yeah, I'm just spitballing here. So, do you have anything else?
Um, no, not really. No, just thanks for having me on.
For sure. Now, are you a normal podcaster? Is this your first one?
I've done a couple before, but not really a lot of them. No.
Not a ton of them. Well, if you're
No.
interested, maybe next year we could get a follow-up. I've been trying to do like a 1-year gap so that we could have a little bit of update and see how your season went or is going.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'd be good to do. Yeah.
Very good. And I'm actually doing an Instagram live right now on my phone. So that'll be up there. I'm not sure how to go back and see the videos if you can do that, but maybe it's gone forever after this period.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. But I'm not really too into that sort of stuff. I don't know how to do it.
So, yeah, I'll be getting this edited and posted. Today's Tuesday, but hopefully I get it out in the next couple of days so that you can also share it to your network and we can get as many eyeballs on it as possible.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you think I should podcast next in your network? Like who would you want to hear from? Whether it's racers or commentators or pit crew or truck drivers driving to the events? Is there anybody on your mind?
Not I can think of, but I can message a few people around and see if they'd be interested.
Sure, let me know. I'm always like I said, happy to help promote. I'll be going usually I've been recording the podcast on Tuesdays and Saturdays is the best day for me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty flexible. I can do other things. I can move things around. I'm still working for myself. I'm shipping orders from Eric Swahn Racing, my business, and Shop ESR. I sell 34 motorsports brands of products from racing and gear and parts. So I have tons of items available from exhaust to hard parts and sprockets and race suits and gloves and all kinds of stuff. So been doing that and going to the racetrack and doing all these podcasts to stay in the motorsports industry.
Sounds awesome.
So I'll wrap it up here. Thanks again for talking to me, and
Yeah, thank you for having me.
real soon. Take care now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.